All right, just to confirm for my listeners who we got on the phone here, it is the one and only DJ Animal. Is it you, sir?
Yes, it is.
Nice. It's been so long since I've spoken to you. How are things going in your world?
Things are fantastic. Got a new baby girl. Just trying to stay out of trouble, you know.
Of course, of course. I got to ask, with having a baby girl in your life, you must be watching a lot of kids shows. What's your favorite one?
Well, one of my buddies, you know BJ.
Yeah, Daddy Longfingers.
Yeah. So he does voiceovers for different cartoons. So one of the ones he does is the Backyardigans.
Okay.
So if you check the credits, he's actually in there.
Good for him, man. I had no idea. And to be honest, as someone who prides himself in voice acting, if you will, I would have never pegged BJ as one of those people. But
yeah, he's
good
been
for
doing
him.
it for years.
Good for him, man. And you know what? I have him, I think, on Instagram. I don't think... Is he on Facebook?
He's very selective with the Facebook.
Ah, that's what it is. And to be honest, I don't know if we've reached out, but I haven't spoken to BJ since you know what? We'll dive into some industry. I was going to talk just about you, but with BJ, we've got to talk X amount. So since the X amount days, I haven't seen BJ. Does he still live in the city?
No, he's actually out in Burlington now.
Okay. And is he involved in the jungle industry at all?
No, not really. No, we go out every now and then, and we rinse tunes. Like when we link up, make a couple tunes here and there. Like recently we just did. Well, not really recently, more like 6 months ago now. We did a remix of the Damian Marley tune.
Which one?
Here We Go, off the new album.
Okay. And where could we hear it if I wanted to listen to it?
I can definitely send you a link.
Well, send me a link, and when I post this, I'll put the link down below. If you don't mind, we'll share it with the people. Is that okay?
100%.
I like that. Okay, back to some fun questions. What is your go-to song when you're in the shower singing?
Oh, go-to. I don't really sing in the shower.
Bullshit. But... I see you in there singing like some like George Michael's or something. That's what I peg, Mr. Animal. Some faith.
Maybe a little Elton John or some classic stuff.
That's nice.
A little Queen.
A little Queen, like you can sing like Freddie. That I'd like to see.
Not like Freddie. More like it makes the cat screech.
All right, let's dive into some industry ones. What was your first experience with a rave?
Now we're going way back. I think the first party I ever went to was in '94. Cyrus, either King of Kings or Champion of Champion. That's a blurry time. So.
Do you remember who the lineup was? Do you remember who the headliners were?
Kenny Ken. Yeah.
In '94.
Either one of the first times he came over. So now I'm really dating myself because that's 25 years ago now.
Well, yeah, it is, and you know what? It's right around the birth of Toronto's jungle scene. Like you're talking, you mentioned Cyrus. I didn't know Rob was doing stuff way back then. I thought Marcus was really one of the only promoters. Him and Dr. Trance, and interesting to know Cyrus was around that early. Would that have been like one of their first parties, or?
I grew up going to and looking up to guys like Marcus, Dr. No, like Don Ranks,
Sure.
Like all the real old. So it was always an honor and a privilege to work with guys like Marcus and Mystical and Medicine Muffin and all those guys over the years.
I can imagine, man, especially going back to the grandfathering days, if you will, '94. Because we're also talking about the transformation of Acid House into jungle drum and bass. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a very interesting era. Like, let me ask you, was drum and bass even born yet, or was it still just jungle?
I think the term at the time was like blood clot jungle techno. But it was like acid house and then like hardcore, and then like for me the glory years were like for jungle was like 94 to 99.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because post 99 is when your company, the one that I remember you from at least, you and Jason and many others, was Future Sound. And to a lot of people, when you bring it up today and you ask them what was the pinnacle of our scene, they will talk your era, if you will. Like they'll say 2002 till 2006. And I'm like, So that's like, almost post Big Bud, and it's more the Future Sound and other guys like yourself that were throwing those parties on a monthly basis. I got to ask you, like, how did you meet those guys?
I met Chris at a record shop, I think in like 2003 or 2004.
Is Chris Kaiser?
Chris Woody Kaiser, yeah.
Okay.
And then at that point, it was, he was doing the Future Sound thing, and then you mentioned the Record Store X amount.
Right.
And it was like both kind of a collaboration. And then when the record store closed down, we also linked up with Crash. And he was doing the Culture thing at the time. And the three of us did Future Sound for at least a couple years before Crash decided he didn't want to do it anymore. And then me and Chris continued it on. And then I think the last one we did was still some time ago. It was probably like 2012, I think.
Well, do you think we could see a reunion?
You never know. There's always talk of it, but like, I have a baby. Breezy's got 3 kids now.
You just had twins.
Yeah. Kaiser's got 2 kids, so it's like we're all like old and grown and ready to retire.
No, I think there's going to be a resurgence. Once those children get old enough to go to school, you guys are going to get bored again, and you're going to say, you know what, I need to get back into the jungle game. And
you never say never, you know?
Sure.
If the right opportunity comes, who knows what'll happen.
We'll be waiting for you when you return. What happened to Crash? You mentioned his name. I haven't heard from that guy in years. Do you know where Crash is nowadays?
I actually haven't talked to him in a couple of years. I saw him at a party a couple of years back. I know he went back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And but I think he goes on and off of Facebook. But I know he's doing well, but I haven't seen him in a few years.
I'm going to share a funny story, if you don't mind, of DJ Crash.
Of course.
And if he happens to listen to this, there's no disrespect, buddy. I love you. This is a funny story, okay? Let's laugh. So I was flyering outside System Soundbar one night, and you know, you always bump into other people that are flyering that you haven't met before. And a guy sides beside me, and he asked me, you know, who are you? What do you do? And then he starts talking kind of smack about Crash. He's like, so who's this Culture guy, DJ Crash? You met him before? And I'm like, no, but I've seen his shit. I don't know who he is, though. He's like, yo, he's a real dick. I'm telling you, this guy, you got to watch yourself. And he just started bad-mouthing him. And I'm like, yeah, man, whatever. You know, it's your opinion, whatever. And then he's like, by the way, I'm DJ Crash. I just wanted to see what you would say if you would start talking smack or if you would be cool. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Like, that's the ultimate mind fuck right there.
Right?
But
He's
it's
like,
typical Crash.
I've told the story to other people, and they say, yeah, that's him. And I'm like, yeah, it was a sneaky way to fucking find
right
out.
there.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's him to a T right there. Before I was back in Toronto, I was going to school down in St. Catharines.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I first met Al and Trevor. They were doing the Brock Up Sessions thing down in St. Catharines.
Yes, yes.
So for the couple of years that I went to school down there, they gave me my jungle fix instead of having to transit it all the way back to the city to go to a party.
I can imagine. And you know what? St. Catherine is known for many fixes. Jungle isn't one of them.
St. Catharines is definitely, I don't even know how to describe it. It's an experience.
It's a mobile meth lab.
That's a good way to describe it, kind of. Yeah.
It's a pass-through state. That's I would put it. There's many things. You know what? Nothing but love for St. Catharines. I'm shitting on you guys for fun. I gotta ask. Okay, so one thing I know you did because I used to watch you do it. I never did it with you, but I used to be out on the street. I'd be like, oh, there's Greg at 4 a.m. putting flyers on a post, and I would see you all over the city in the wackiest of places sometimes. And I gotta ask you, what was the weirdest thing you ever encountered in your roaming of the streets handing out flyers?
Probably postering along Queen Street at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
A homeless guy asking me if I wanted to have a swig of his mouthwash.
He offered you some of his Listerine.
Yeah, I politely declined and told him to have a nice evening. That
was very kind of you. But that was very kind of him too. You know, he was willing to share.
Very much, very much.
I'm sure there's even more if we were to share a few joints and a couple beers. I'm sure the stories would just keep pouring. But You're a soldier, man. I gotta say, like when your name comes up, that's one of the stories I bring up to people is the numerous amount of times at the most asinine of hours that I would see you, and I was usually on some sort of extracurricular that kept me up at 4 a.m. You weren't necessarily there. You were working. You were doing your job, putting up flyers and promoting the jungle scene. So, kudos to you and thank you for doing all the hard work you did all those years.
It was definitely a lot of work, but it at times like our bigger parties like Kings of the Jungle or like the Fast Forward, where we put 2,000 people in the docks, it kind of the hard work paid off. People asked us how we did what we did. We didn't do it overnight. It was kind of a years and years of building a base. And anyone who's still doing it now, I got nothing but love and respect for them. It's a grind. It is a grind.
Yeah, it's a job and it's a business, and as much fun as we have during the actual party, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes that makes it hard for someone like yourself who's a new father to put those hours in, right?
Exactly. Yeah, there's so much work, so much politics that I don't really miss. Like I do miss seeing everybody, and I love hearing the music on a big system. And every now and then I go out and just to experience it again. And like I said, I got nothing but love for the guys that started before me, guys like Marcus that are still grinding, still killing it. But yeah, for me, it had to. I had to move on to bigger things, like my baby girl.
Like I said, we'll be here. We'll be here waiting when you come back, and maybe you can bring her to a party one day.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
You see this thing? They do rave tots where they bring their kids out to the parties. I think Toronto will be going there at the rate that all of our junglists are having kids. We're going to have to start throwing those parties.
Yeah, there's so many daddies and mommies.
Exactly, man. All right, I know you're somewhat removed from the scene, but I know you still have your nose and ear to the ground, if you will. What changes would you say you've noticed since you entered in '94 to where we are today?
The changes over the years were like, it's always kind of been about the lack of venues and the people willing to, club owners and managers willing to do jungle and drum and bass. Like for a while, the crackdown in '99 when they stopped allowing it in publicly owned buildings like the CNE, the Better Living Center, and places like that. And then when we lost venues like System Sound Bar, the docks, the government, it forced it into like more of a club atmosphere. And now the grind that promoters must be going through just to find a venue, I feel for them.
Well, and one thing I want to sidebar on what you just said to separate, because people will say, well, System Soundbar was just a club. Why can't we find another club? Because the system in System Soundbar was meant for our music. When we go to other clubs, they've got nothing that can handle the amount of bass or even the highs and lows that we play in drum and bass. So you even hear like with Timeless going down, a lot of people want to know, well, where's the system going? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Like System, even playing on that system was amazing. It was like piloting a spaceship. It was. If you ever messed up a mix in System Soundbar, it was not on the club or the equipment. The sound guy there was amazing. Everything was set up exactly as and where it should be. And like you said, but nowadays with clubs not catering to our type of music, it's exactly like you said. The levels are not set properly from the get-go, and when you have to break down and set everything up, you're always going to have some sort of technical problems over the evening.
Well, that's why I think, Greg, when it comes to these parties that are being thrown in the best way, it's a lot of these guys that are leasing units and then putting in their own systems. Those are the best parties, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. From what I see now, like for me, the guys that are really killing the promotion right now, and the guys that are doing it the right way, are the Last Planet guys.
Yeah.
They're really doing it good. And then the guy out of Cambridge, the Peaceful guys.
I agree.
Crushing it. Like the talent coming through there. And I haven't been to down to Cambridge yet, but like you said, the system is set up properly, and they're both doing it for the right reason, which is to me one of the biggest key points.
I agree 100%. I want to shout out Bryzine on this. Mompy Swift coming in on May 17th. I'm not sure this will air before that, but if it does, come on out. And Animal, if you can make it out, I know you're a daddy, but we would love to see you. Did you see May 17th, Mompy Swift?
I did recently see that, and it kind of twitched something in my mind because Mompy has always been one of my favorites.
Oh, that's awesome.
And like some of the highlights over the years were always going on after Mompy because he sets the table and sets the bar so high that you kind of have to come up and smash it or everybody leaves.
That's it. You know what? Something sidebar, not to talk about Mompy for too long, but I'm actually going to be interviewing him, and I had to do some research. And while I was looking him up, they have him listed on Google as born in 1983, which would mean he's 36, which would mean he was 13 when he made The One, and about 9 when he started DJing. And I'm like, there's something not right about this timeline. There's no way Mompy Swift is 36 years old. But
I don't think so either. No, I could go back and check work visas for birth dates and stuff, but I think he's a little bit older than that.
I would say at least 46. You know, like
yeah.
There's something. Someone hit a 0 where they shouldn't have, or something. I'm like, something's wrong in this fucking Wikipedia thing here.
I gotta agree with you on that.
Okay, good. Okay, well, I know you're a dad, but what can we expect from you? Is there going to be any new Animal sets or any new Animal sounds coming out in 2019?
You never know. Like I said, me and BJ get together every now and then to work on a few bits. You never know. I might. I've taken probably haven't DJ'd out in like a year, so you never know. The upcoming year, I might DJ, might not. Who knows?
I hear you. And you know what? And if you're with BJ, why don't you guys do some fucking voiceover work together? You can drop some samples for your daughter's TV shows.
Exactly.
That's daddy's in this show. That's awesome. Okay, let's say, you know what? If you don't mind talking about it, what happened with X Amount? Why did it shut down? Was it purely just lack of people coming?
Yeah, it was like it was. We got into the record business at the end of the time where it was feasible. So we had it open, and then by the end of it, it was the only thing really financially that was making sense was throwing the events at that point.
I get you. And I remember there was actually, like, I don't want to talk about Shaq without him being here to defend himself, but I know that there was some heat, and Mr. Shaq Wando ended up moving out west, and since then has kind of dropped himself from the drum and bass industry. He's a very talented artist and a very interesting individual. Do you know if he's still making music?
I haven't heard anything new from him in a while, and I fully agree with you. He was like, in his peak, he was making some bangers.
Yeah, man.
But
he was on my album.
Sorry?
He was on my album. If you remember that mix CD that I made, the Vivid mix CD.
Yeah, I do remember that mix. Now we're going back too. Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the producers on it. And if you honestly, I don't want to air too much, but I remember he gave BJ a nice shiner. You want to go way back?
Yeah, that is way back. Yeah.
Bigging up the DLF. But yeah, and there was a lot of heat that went down, and but there's something to be said about X Amount coming out at the same time as people like Black Market Records landed here, and To The Beat was taking off. Eastern Bloc relaunched. It was like there was a saturation almost occurring, and maybe we bit off more than we could chew in this economy, if you will. There's not enough junglist to sustain that many stores. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah. Like the only real Eastern Bloc in its prime was the one for me back when it was on Adelaide.
Mm-hmm.
But the only one that's tried and true has always been Play-D.
It's true. Do you remember when they did that revitalization, whatever they opened up on top of Sunrise Records or something?
On Yonge Street.
On Yonge Street, yeah. You remember that?
And then there's a lot of sketchy stories about stuff that happened either at the end of the old shop, at the new shop. You know, not my place to talk, but.
Well, that's it. I'm not going to ask you because I don't want to put you in a place where you say something you shouldn't have said. But I will talk to people like Pat and Chris and hope Tommy. There's somebody. Shout out to my listeners. If you can get a hold of Tommy Hillfingers and get me in touch with him, I would really like to talk to Tommy.
Tommy would be the interview of a lifetime.
I know he would. I know, and him and I would get along so well.
He is a legend and like one of the most well-spoken and funniest guys that I've ever met.
High octane, I would say. Anytime I saw that guy on the playing, he was high octane, man.
Yeah.
All right, hold on one sec. I got to pull my question. Okay, so now we're diving into my infamous Mount Rushmore question. So, if you could create a Mount Rushmore for jungle music, who would your four faces be?
Four faces. Oh. So the one got to be Dillinger.
All right.
Um, mm, and then I'm all about the raga. So like I gotta put, and I know I'm probably gonna catch some hate for this, but I gotta throw somebody like Congo Natty or Terry T, somebody like that on there.
Okay.
And is it just producers, or are we talking MCs too?
Anything, man. It could even be promoters. It could be your favorite raver. If you think that there's that one raver you saw at every party and they belong on Mount Rushmore, put them up there.
That would definitely be Smurfy.
Oh, Smurfy to fly.
Yeah, like he like back in the shop days, like the day we announced the party, he would call and hold a ticket until the day of, and not once did he no-show. He came down the day of, picked up the ticket on hold every time. He was the most loyal supporter that anybody could ask for, to be honest. Yeah.
That guy got in a lot of shit, I gotta say. Love you, Smurf. But Smurfy was always getting his name, and it's like, fuck.
He always was, yeah.
Smurf.
And then lastly, it's got to be Stevie Hyper D.
Yes, this R.I.P. And
R.I.P. for sure.
I would be happy with just Stevie, and Stevie. Almost like Dylan. But no, those are a great four. And going to your reggae thing, an interesting thing that happened to me recently is I was talking to a gentleman named Steve on Facebook because another MC, Virgo Dawn, had put us in contact with each other. And I, after conversing for a couple minutes, realized that his name wasn't Steve, it was someone named Demon. And it turned out to be one of the Reggae Twins.
Ah, yes, that's one of my favorite shows that we ever did too, bringing those two over.
I would love to see someone bring those two back.
I really don't. I don't think they've been here since. I think that was 2009. We had them here.
Well, the thing is, I don't think people that are promoting today would see the pull in bringing them. That's the problem. It's not about, like, it's almost like booking MC Moose. I want someone to bring Moose out here, but I think they look at it and they go, well, it's going to cost me about $3,000 to bring in Moose. Is Moose going to bring $3,000 into the party? No. So I'm not going to bring Moose. You know what I mean? It's that, rather than just going, no, dude, this is a legend. Like, I don't know if you'll just throw a party and get them out here because we should be honored to have them on our stage.
Exactly, yeah. It's almost like since we stopped doing stuff, I've not, maybe just a generalization, but the promoters in Toronto have kind of stepped away from the MCs. Like, for the most part, a lot of the time now, it's just the DJ.
Yeah, and whatever MC's coming with them is fine. It's just we're not booking around the MCs. You're right. Do you remember, like, the days of Space Boogie, Center Sound Crew? Remember Center Sound Crew?
Yeah.
They'd bring out, like, Shubba, Ridla, and IC3 with, what was it, Darren J and Digital or something. I forget. But yeah, it was. There was a lot of MC heavy lineups where you'd have, like, even the Throwdown party where you had Navigator, Det, and Skibba with Mystical and Marcus. There was no, I don't think there was any UK DJ on that lineup. But yeah, there's something to be said about MCs losing respect in the whole industry, I think, over the last 4 or 5 years. Even Navigator and I had a deep conversation about some of the disrespect he's felt going to some of the parties. He told me one where they had him set up and he was supposed to stand behind the speaker. And he's like, Brethren, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to be behind the speaker, or you want me to be performing to the crowd? And they're like, oh, we just need you over there. He's like, fuck this. And he just didn't perform.
Exactly. And he's a legend. Like, he recently did, I think, 40 years of Navigator in the music industry. No, 30 years maybe.
No, 40. You're right. It's 40 years.
So, yeah, that super dates Navi. Jeez.
Yeah, man.
He was always one of my faves to bring over, too. Super down-to-earth, nice guy, and always just smashed the crowd.
He's a legend, and you're right. He's a genuine soul. He's true. Like, he was the one person, after we finished talking, he wanted to talk, and we talked for like another 2 hours after. And he gave me like nutritional tips. He talked to me about my headspace, you know, and then he followed up like weeks later, like, so how you doing? Have you been eating that right? Like, how's your stomach feeling? And, you know what I mean? Like, he was...
That's just an amazing human being.
Yeah, he's a genuine person, you know. I love the guy, and he's an amazing artist. All right, final question for you. If you could create, not create, but if you could put 5 items in a vault that would encapsulate our rave culture, what would those 5 items be?
5 items. I think you got to put an actual turntable in there because a lot of guys nowadays don't even know what an actual 12 is. As far as Toronto, like a numb T-shirt.
Okay, and it doesn't have to be necessarily Toronto's rave culture, just the rave culture. But I like that answer, the snug T-shirt. I've been trying to find some snug in some black market clearance racks, and I can't find shit. If you can get me in touch with some snug clothing, please comment below.
And then, like, I guess you put in, like, I think you got me totally stumped on this one.
I'm picturing, like, a Future Sound flyer in there.
I got flyers of every party we've thrown, so I could definitely throw some of those in there.
What would be your favorite flyer of the parties you threw?
The favorite flyer?
Yeah.
Definitely one of the Kings of the Jungle ones that like Sunil always crushed our design. Great design. I always loved working with him.
We're talking about Sunil from Dubplate Special?
Dubplate, yeah. He designed most of our stuff as far as the flyers and the posters are concerned.
Wow, I did not know that. I knew he was into the design stuff, but and I'm very familiar with that layout, if you will. Did he do Sound Clash then? Because it's almost the Sound Clash look. I don't know.
The Sound Clash Return one that went down at Diva?
I'm thinking, I don't remember the venue, but I'm thinking it was Sound Clash 2, and it was with Dillinger and Ray Keith with Navigator and GQ. And for some reason...
Sound Clash 1. Oh, now we're going way back. And
well,
flashbacks from Sound Clash 1.
Sound Clash 1 was Nicky Black Market with Skibba, Shaba, and Fearless in the referee at the Luxor.
The Luxor, and they were wearing
referee outfits.
Uniforms.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know what that took us back to? I don't know if you remember Throwdown, which I just brought up, when you had Det and Skibba here for the first time as the 2-time freestyle, and they were in the boxing ring with the referee kind of outfits.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, oh, it reminds me of the old Throwdown kind of getup. And that goes down, like, if you look, who is Sound Clash? Sound Clash was Clayton Hines working with Brad and Marcus, right? And Ryan, Hustlin' Beats.
Ruckus, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so it's this, no, Throwdown wasn't the same crew. I think, who threw Throwdown? Was it Cyrus?
I don't think so, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, to be honest with you.
Renegade? No, it doesn't sound like Renegade. I'm trying to think. Anyways, it doesn't matter. We've got a Future Sound flyer, we've got a 12, and we've got a snug T-shirt. 2 more items, please.
Definitely got to put a mic in there, too, because I know a lot of people hate on the MCs, but from even the start of my time raving up until our time throwing parties, I always thought it was definitely part of the culture. Mm-hmm. And another part of the culture that I'm still sad that kind of got lost along the way was the breakdancing. So throw like a live breakdancer in that vault.
Awesome. That's the first time someone's thrown one in, and I agree with you 100%. And I remember when we used to do the circles. You know, you'd form that circle, and they'd just start battling in the circles. Yeah, and you'd always get one jackass like me going in and do a chicken wing, fall on the floor, and then just run out. But no, those are 5 great items. You actually had me reminiscing as you said those things, and I love that. Before I let you go, I'm going to say the person I'm going to be interviewing once you and I finish is MC Dro, and we have some great memories, the 3 of us, of
we definitely do,
right? Of jamming and rinsing all day through the night, and yeah, I just wanted to say that I really appreciate talking to you now and him later and getting this chance to go down memory lane. It's been a lot of fun.
It was definitely a trip down memory lane, and anytime, buddy. And Dro is like my brother from another mother. Love him.
That's it. And we're hoping to get him back. That's why I'm going to interview him, and hopefully we'll get him back on a show. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe what we'll do is we'll have a set. It'll be Animal and MC Dro.
And you can jump on there too. Like old times.
The thing is, and I say this to other people, I'm like, I can't keep up with these guys anymore. I'm still the guy I was in 2005, and these guys have gotten a lot better. So
the emceeing has definitely progressed since over the years.
Oh fuck!
The lyricism is outstanding nowadays, especially with guys in Toronto, guys like Z and A2, just absolutely crushing it on the international scale. Even
I think White Wolf has got bars.
Oh, Shrubs, yeah, White Wolf, but I just know him as Shrubs. But he is definitely, always has been one of my fave MCs, and he's an amazing human being as well.
He's a teddy bear of a character.
He is a teddy bear.
But yeah, and his flow is just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Bars and the way he structures his stuff is just bar none. All right, I'm going to sign off to the listeners, but I want to talk to you for a little bit, so stay on the phone, okay?
Wicked. Thanks, bro.
All right, that was him. I hope you enjoyed listening as much as I enjoyed reminiscing. As always, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, peace out.